If you've ever wondered about a career in investing, becoming a hedge fund analyst is your chance to hear what it's like to earn a place on an investing team at Point 72. Stream full episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
The comments, views, and opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of Point 72 Academy. All information provided herein is for informational purposes only, is not investment advice, and should not be deemed as a recommendation to buy or sell securities. All investments involve risk, including the loss of principal. This podcast does not constitute an offer to sell or the solicitation of an offer to purchase any security or investment product. Any such offer or solicitation may only be made by means of delivery of an approved confidential offering memorandum. This podcast may not be copied, and it may not be distributed or furnished to or used by anyone other than the intended recipient without the express written consent of Point 72.
I'm Jamie Goodfriend, director of the Point 72 Academy. When the Point 72 Academy launched way back in 2015, we had 10 students, all in the US. But the world is a big, interconnected place, and Point 72 has offices all around the globe. We quickly realized that to make the most of the opportunities around the world, investing is an apprenticeship business, and placing Academy graduates on global teams helps us train them in the fundamentals of valuation, stock analysis, idea generation, and compliance, while also tailoring their experience to the nuances and idiosyncrasies of the markets that they'll cover. Today, nearly a quarter of our Academy graduates have placed on international teams, giving our analysts a deep network of Academy alums who they can turn to as they're just starting out on the job. To talk more about the international experience at Point 72 Academy, I invited 3 analysts and Academy grads, Callum, Lydia, and Sukasa, to share their experiences with us. Let's begin with introductions. Callum, can you start us off?
Sure, I'm Callum. I'm an industrials analyst at Point 72. I work out of the London office, and I read physics at Cambridge before I joined the Academy in late 2020.
My name is Sukasa. I work at the Tokyo office at Point 72. I was a 2019 Academy graduate, and I work on a generalist team.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I work in Hong Kong office. I'm in the 2019 Academy batch. I did my university study in Singapore.
How did each of you get started with your interest in investing, and what made you decide you wanted to pursue it as a career?
Prior to university, I'd never studied finance or economics formally. I had a strong passion for physics for essentially 2 reasons. Firstly, I had an intellectual curiosity for understanding the world around us. And secondly, I enjoyed solving mathematical problems under high pressure. Now, in parallel, this core drive for education and understanding fueled an interest in financial markets, geopolitics, and current affairs, which found expression through me reading every market-based book I could practically get my hands on. And as a result of this parallel exploration, I set up a personal trading account. And this is when the light bulb went on, and I realized that this is what I wanted to do as a career. My pathway to the Point 72 Academy came through my research of long-short equity funds and multi-managers whilst at university, and Point 72 itself was differentiated by the Academy. The Academy's proposition for someone in my position was clear and highly compelling, a direct pathway into long-short equity via a tailored course of classroom teaching and the practical application of that knowledge.
From a young age, I was interested in finance and investing in particular. I like trying to understand businesses, understanding business models, how companies generate cash. What I found fascinating about investing was that you can test your knowledge, and then you can also get immediate feedback on it. So I'm Japanese American, and I wanted to do something that could leverage kind of my background, which is why I kind of wanted to do something that had to do with investing in Japan. And how that brought me to the Point 72 Academy is I was spending a year abroad studying in Tokyo. And I was essentially looking for something that would be the shortest path for me to have a career in investing. And I learned about the Point 72 Academy program. And so it sounded perfect for what I wanted to do. And here I am.
So I was an intern in a security firm where I just collate all the news every morning. But I was amazed by all the analysts there because they can make use of the information that I provided them to make investment decision. So I was really amazed by the process, and I got curious because I want to learn how they did it and how I could do it and do it better. But I understand how hard this could be, and I realized that Point 72 Academy gave me all the training and guidance. So that's how I ended up here.
Can you share your experiences with the recruitment process for Point 72 Academy and any advice for potential applicants?
Recognizing that the process may have changed since I applied in 2018, a memorable feature of the Academy's recruitment process was its rigor, and this is reflective of the caliber of the firm to which you're applying. Really, what this means is go in expecting numerous rounds encompassing stock pitches, case studies, interviews with analysts, portfolio managers, and even management. And then, on advice for potential applicants, it's worth remembering that it's a fiercely competitive landscape. So, in my view, you have to differentiate yourself. Reflect your passion for markets and your interest in companies and their drivers in every stage of the process. Have a repertoire of stocks to talk about in depth on both the long and the short sides, touching on thesis, valuation, and catalysts. And express your knowledge of the structure of the industry and that of Point 72 specifically.
So for the recruitment process, you want to show that you're passionate, that you're interested, that you can think smart and you can think logically. So that includes studying companies, studying stocks, and you really want to show that you have the interest and the work ethic. You can kind of learn the hard skills in the academy, and that's kind of what the program is designed to do.
I remember the recruitment process was really comprehensive, but I would say that process was fun and because I was able to meet a lot of people in Point 72. So for all the potential applicants, I would say be prepared and to show your passion about investment, whether reading a book or investing in stocks, I think that is something that really can make you stand out.
Talk me through your academy experiences. Do you remember some of the moments that really stood out to you?
My academic experience was excellent. We started with high intensity classes led by academics designed to reinforce the fundamentals of financial reporting and analysis, operation strategy, and corporate finance. Then we spent a few weeks breaking down the process of ramping on a company into its fundamental components. And of course, there are several key moments that stand out for me. A notable example is an enlightening series of macroeconomics lectures that we had by the chief economist. These sessions provided a framework for exploring the intricate relationships between our companies and their stocks with the macro environments in which they operate.
My overall experience in the academy is great. It's hard to pinpoint a moment specifically, but I think some of the best experiences were the opportunities to speak with the on the ground IPs, the analysts, and the PMs. Um, so, for example, through the academy, you have opportunities to look at a lot of companies and write up a lot of pitches. And some of the best kind of feedbacks that you would get is once you cover a company, you pitch it to an analyst or a PM who has been looking at the stock for a long time. And then the kind of the 30-minute discussion that you can have there, you can learn more than you have over the week that you took looking at the stock.
What stand out to me is really my experience outside of the classroom. We had a lot of learning and sharing sessions with the PMs and analysts. I may not be able to fully understand all the sharings back then, but now when I'm in the investment role for several years, to be honest, some of the advice became guiding principles for me. I find them super valuable.
What do you think is unique about the Academy in each of your respective regions?
The unique thing about the London Academy is on the internship, you get to spend the first few days in New York and you get taught the fundamentals in this process. You get lessons on financial analysis and valuation before returning to London itself for for the rotation. We also had Q&A sessions with portfolio managers across the firm, letting us experience firsthand the individuality and the diversity of investing styles, philosophies, and frameworks. This not only allowed us to integrate elements of their ideas and structures within our own development in the Academy program, but it also emphasized a fundamental theme that Point 72 champions, that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to investing.
I think the academy is very unique in Tokyo. I am not aware of really any buy-side firms that has a program that's close to the same level of training for undergraduate students. I think the academy does a great job connecting academy students to current analysts and PMs. I think the best way to learn how to do the job, other than to do the job, is getting advice from people who are doing the job now. I think what's really great about the academy is that you go to New York, you get the hard skills, and then you come to Asia, You learn a lot more about the nuances and the market tendencies of Asian markets. So I think it's a really cohesive program.
Academy program is unique because it's actually customized to prepare us better for our future job. Like for the second half of my academy, I got a chance to go back to Hong Kong office to learn more about market specific issues. So during the entire program, we were also introduced to different teams. And this helped me to build connections with different teams even across office. And also during the program, we had sessions from all the other investment service functions in the firm. So I got to know what internal resources the firm can provide for the analysts and PMs to make better decisions.
What was the rotation like? How did it feel to be embedded on a PM team and actually get to sample a couple of different teams?
Every aspect of my rotation was great and highly unique. My portfolio manager had only joined Point72 1 month prior and had yet to bring across his team. So I ended up spending 6 weeks working one-on-one with him in the earlier stages of his launch. So I had a level of proximity and exposure to a PM that was unparalleled. I created infrastructure central to the team's strategy that was used for many years after, and I had exceptional levels of responsibility, eventually including the opportunity to meet CEOs on the internship. We extended the internship for an extra 3 weeks so I could meet the team and experience the launch of the book. And then at the end of the full-time academy, I joined the same team to lead their industrial strategy.
My rotation experience was great. For my summer internship, I joined a healthcare team for a couple of weeks, and I knew nothing about healthcare. I hadn't studied anything about it in college. And the PM offered me a couple of stocks where I could choose, and I could really dig deep and try to understand kind of what the drivers were for the company's businesses and how the company generates earnings. It kind of was a good experience of trying to understand how a investor would look at a stock even when you don't have enough time to understand every single thing that it does. And I learned that there's a lot of ways to kind of get to the same goal of becoming a great investor.
I got the chance to rotate in two teams, which I think is great. And because it's very different style, I got to see how PM and analysts interact every day, how analysts came up with the ideas, worked on it, and finally pitch it to the PM, and how the analysts communicate with the PM and the rest of the firm. So that was so much learning, and it helped me to set my expectation well to get myself ready when I pick up my coverage and work with my PM.
Talk to me about the development resources we have here and what's really been helpful to you.
A distinctive strength of Point72 is its investment in the continuous, lifelong learning and development of its people. And the academy itself is not the final destination, but rather a foundational element for one's ongoing learning at Point72. I'll give you a few examples. We have analyst coaching and mentoring, the Point72 University, an extensive online collection of resources, and the Velocity Program, an initiative designed for accelerating idea generation. Eventually, this leads to Point72 Launchpoint, the firm's program to facilitate your transition from analyst to portfolio manager, which has been the subject of previous podcasts.
Yeah, I think the firm has so many good resources for talent development. The most important resource is all the great people at the firm. I think the opportunities to meet people and discuss ideas, discuss the process of investing with a variety of people is the most important resource. But also the company has great resources in terms of access to corporates, research. And so I think overall, the development resources for the company helps you along kind of a long journey in terms of becoming a great investor.
So I really like the analyst idea tracking tour in the firm because it helps me to analyze my idea from different angles. It's something really helpful because it helped me to identify areas for improvement. And we also have professional development team in the firm where I really have regular catch up with them. I talk to them about my challenges and they would provide support, suggestion, and sometimes they connect me with other senior and peers in the firm so we can work together.
You all work in different offices. I'd love to hear your views on what the culture is like in each of your locations. What parts really feel connected and global, and what parts feel specific to you regionally? Do you think there are opportunities and challenges that are specific to working for a global firm?
Absolutely. The London office has a vibrant culture that's characterized by a closely connected community. Relative to the US, it's quite small. So it has a strong family ethos with everyone knowing their fellow analysts and close contact with leadership, fostering a sense of unity. In my view, the core advantage of working for a global firm lies in its network and perspective. Very few industries exist in siloed geographies in some industrial sectors. Hence, there's enormous value to be derived through cultivating a network within the firm who covers stocks or even macroeconomics across the world via the cross-pollination of ideas and insights.
I think the culture in the Tokyo office is one that kind of marries local expertise and also a very international way of thinking. I think my current team is a good example where we have some foreigners who were born outside of Japan but have lived here for a long time. We have Japanese speakers and Japanese born analysts as well. Everyone understands the nuances of kind of local Japanese markets and corporates, but also bring an international way of thinking, both about companies and about thinking about stocks.
I'm working in Hong Kong office. The culture is collaborative. I think everyone is willing to share with and learn from each other. We always have company meetings together, and you can always find some analysts having conversation in the office during lunch and breaks. When I have problem, I reach out for help, and I think the culture is really good. And being in a global firm, I think is great because my stocks are traded by global investors. So I think working in a global firm helps me to build global perspective. So I got the chance to talk to investors in other regions. So it helps me to look at my companies in different perspectives.
Sukasa, you touched on this point, but in the US, the teams are sector focused all the time. And it's been my experience that frequently the UK and other European offices are also focused in that way. But in Asia, out of certain necessity and market reasons, it's different. Could you shed some light on why you think that is and why you think it's special in terms of your own development?
One of the things that I'm most happy about in terms of my current career is that I'm on a journalist team. We focus on the Japan markets, but I look at a very diverse lineup of sectors. And what's interesting is that you can take learnings and information from one sector and use it as a read through to another sector that may seem very disconnected or very far apart, but actually there can be overarching themes that are important and can be missed by somebody who's only been looking at one sector.
My old team looked at a combination of sectors. They looked at mining, energy, chemicals, utilities, and industrials, with various other strategies in real estate, technology. And I do believe that there are synergies to this collective knowledge pool because no one sector exists in isolation. And therefore, you can derive interesting knowledge from these adjacencies.
I cover multiple sectors across multiple regions. I would say it's tough to maintain a big coverage, but at the same time, I have the advantage of having more read through. And my sectors still have synergies, so I make use of the information and try to connect the dots. I think it helps me to generate more ideas and be more thoughtful in my scenario analysis.
We often talk about being an investor led firm. Steve, Harry, John Weiner, and myself, we've all done the job. And then a lot of our PMs were once analysts here themselves. What do you think that says about our culture?
It's an overwhelmingly positive cultural influence here in London. Continuous development, career progression, leadership, and entrepreneurial spirit very much embedded within the fabric of the firm. Even in the London equity business, for example, 4 of our current portfolio managers started as analysts when the office reopened in 2015. And this powerfully underscores the career progression and longevity that's achievable at Point 72.
Yeah, I think it's a very inspirational influence. It goes to show that the company is at its core a meritocracy. And I think in general, everyone wants to be graded fairly. And this company really does see good talent when it does see good talent. And I think that's something that's very special, and that's something that's possible because you have people at the very top who have done this for a very long time at a very high level. And I think it's also rare that I can say that you can see a long-term career path even if you come straight out of university, because there's actually a path from an undergraduate student to an academy program to a full-time analyst to the Point 72 Launchpoint program. And not only is the path there, but people have gone through the full path. So you know that it's there. You know that if you excel, it's an option for you.
And I think seeing PMs in my office that came from an analysis really had a positive influence on me. It's a strong motivation because it shows me that it is doable as long as I work hard and have a good process. And the firm is willing to develop and grow.
What connections have you made or friendships have you established across the different offices because we are a global firm?
Absolutely. The mentor that I was assigned in my summer internship is an analyst for a US team, and they invest internationally. And as a function of that, we cover the same stock still. So I work very hard on these working relationships long term, and having the opportunity to network with people globally is a fantastic thing that Point72 provides.
Yeah, the academy program led to great relationships and friendships, I would say. Most recently, we had a analyst offsite in Hong Kong where the analysts in Asia got together, and it was nice kind of seeing all the academy colleagues that I had, and then seeing also the academy kids who graduated the program afterwards.
It's great that the academy program is global. So I got the chance to have my academy classes with peers from the global office. And after 2 or 3 years, we all develop different investment styles and processes in our own team. So when we talk, I got the chance to learn from my peers because they are looking at stocks maybe in a different way. And it helps me to generate ideas from different perspectives.
What's a piece of advice you might give to a student who's applying to the academy in your office?
I think a key piece of advice that I'd give is just to read as much as you possibly can, and read books that are not only academic but written by market practitioners. My personal favorites are the Market Wizard series. A lot of the learnings that you can read about from people who've been in the game for a very long time will stay with you for a long time, and you'll continuously draw on those whilst you're in your career.
Honestly, my advice would be to be confident, to be passionate about the job if this is something that you want to do, and to have fun while you're in college.
So my advice in the university is to find a group of friends who share the same interests with you. And so I got a chance to find a group of people who also like investment, so who are also looking for a career in investment. So we got the chance to share with each other all the good investment books. We got the chance to talk to each other about the investment ideas and analyze company together. I think that helps me a lot.
Callum, Lydia, Sukasa, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Listen to our entire series to hear from portfolio managers, analysts, and others on the ins and outs of this industry and learn how you can become a part of it. Visit our website at point72.com/academy to learn more about how we are training the next generation of investors.